I have some bad news, guys. The original offset we did was giving us an issue, right? So offset surface, the tolerance was set to 0.001. Yes, flip, hit enter. And so we had these issues where bits and pieces of the wall were not showing up. And a number of us had them. I don't know if all of us did. But we've got sort of a gap here. See, there's a gap in the wall. It has to do with the tolerance. I don't know why, but it's probably the fact that this back surface gets so close to perpendicular at the back edge, but it's not quite, and so it's giving you an error. What you have to do to fix it is change the tolerance. So when I did offset surface just now, I changed this tolerance value to 0.5, which is a big difference, but corners stay sharp and flip it in. And so that actually cleaned up those corners. Do you guys see that there? So if you're getting those errors, unfortunately, go all the way back to the extrusion, or to the offset surface stage, and redo that with a tolerance that's a little bit higher. So hopefully all you did was put in a floor slab after that point or something. All right. Yeah, I did 0.5. It probably doesn't actually need to be 0.5. It probably only needs to be like 0.05, but we don't. I erred on the side of caution. I'm going to pause the video here before we move. All right, so we're going to get going now. Again, looking at how do you actually develop this thing into an actual built environment. So usually, as Iggy likes to introduce this, he likes to introduce it with program massing blocks, and that's all well and good. The massing blocks work well, so I'm going to allude to that by saying, in the phase where you have just the shell, that's where you would begin to put in blocks of rooms, if that's the way that you choose to design, right? So you would basically just have, another layer, we call this rooms, where you would generate, something that's approximately the size of the room that you're trying to design, right? So if it looks something like this, then you're going to have, turn perspective on, then you're going to have a little block inside that says this is the office or the bedroom or something like that, but we're sort of circumventing that for the sake of time, and we're just kind of jumping into something that is simple and programmatic. So what I want to do here, let's see, how many square feet are we working with? We got 20 times 40, 800. All right, so 1,600 square feet. All right, we could do like a 2-bed, something like that. All right, so what I want to do in this case is just do like a very simple kind of like a 2-bed house, and we're just gonna generalize it in a way. Okay, so we're gonna go into, I'm gonna change this and call it interior walls. So the way that I'm going to do this is by drawing curves, essentially. So I'm going to draw using like polylines and stuff, the actual scale of the room, essentially. So if you just activate polyline, you can hover off of a corner. Let me turn near off. Near's going to throw me off. Oh, I got too many snaps now. There we go. Interior corner, go down. So I'm going to go down here 10, no, more than 10 feet. I'll go 14 feet. That's wrong. 12 feet is what I want. 12 feet, and then I will go over, we got 20 feet to work with there, so I'll go 20 feet over, hold shift and click, and then I just go back using intersect to the edge. I'm going to use a 5-inch thick wall. And as long as you know your math, you can go back and do this easily that way. Or the other option is you could actually just do an offset and then draw the rest. But, you know, I'll do the polyline all the way through. So I'm just going to do, well, I'll show you the other way. But essentially I did 12 feet, 20 feet, and then intersect, right? So my curve is just an L, and you can do offset curve. I don't know why that's on surface. I just want offset curve. Or just, sorry, offset is what I want. Offset, select that, and I'm going to go 5 inches and pull it in. But that's not solid yet. I need to cap this thing off at the end and say, oh wait, there's a, oh yeah. Sorry. Let me show you something else, a new feature. So when you're offsetting a curve, they have a setting for cap, which is pretty nifty. So if you're just drawing the line of a curve that's going to be the wall of a room, you can select that, say cap equals flat, and then when you pull it in, it actually makes it a complete closed polyline with the top on it. See how it's closed at the top? So what's really cool about that is that you can extrude curve, solid yes, and pull it up. And then you essentially have your interior wall right there. So another thing that is kind of significant here that I want to get at is what do you do? Well, actually, before I do that, let me finish off because I'm going to put a little bathroom in the corner here too. So the bathroom, I'll do another or I'll just do a line actually. And I'm going to hover out 8 feet. No, 10 feet. 10 feet, go there. Then I'm going to say offset. Offset, cap, flat, this, 5 inches, there. With these, then you need to trim using this. You can trim that out. See that? And then you can explode it and then get rid of that little edge. Then you can select and join. So that makes it a closed curve. I see that just about none of you actually watch that. So it's pretty important to understand workflow, guys. What I did was, you know, I drew, this is the design process, right? So I drew a wall, I drew another wall, but if I want them to be contiguous, right, a singular surface, I can do trim, and I can select these both as cutting objects and then trim out that interior edge, and then you just select them again and join, and they're a closed curve. I did an extra step last time, that one was faster. But the reason I'm doing that is because when I extrude curve, whoops, extrude curve, I'm going to pull it actually above the roof. Okay, and I want you guys to understand why, because it's pretty significant, and understand the nuances that are present here. So this being a solid form lends itself to Boolean functions, which is pretty important, I think. What you can do, you have a few options here. So I'm going to pull this over so that you can see kind of what's going on. Right now they kind of intersect each other, but you want to trim it out. And the easy way to do it is to just say trim and select the object and then trim that. However, you still have this excess surface in the wall, which could just make cleanup when you get into AutoCAD kind of a pain. You also have edges that are going to show up on the exterior surface, so that's not ideal either. You could do a second trim, select this, and then select the surface inside, and that's fine. That's totally fine. Or once you have your shell, oh, I'm in the middle of a command. Once you have your shell, you can do a Boolean split. Actually, I don't know if that's going to work. I think you need to do a duplicate. Yeah. Hold on. Okay, it did. Sorry. So, Boolean split will actually split the object in a certain way so that you can just delete them as components. So I thought that it was going to actually split this surface as well, but it didn't. So anyway, those are your two options there. It cleans it up a little bit, and then you can actually create interior walls in a very clean way. Okay, so the other thing that we now have at our disposal is that we can create aperture in the exterior wall, and that's really powerful. It's just like the first exercise, right? Now we're doing exactly the same thing we were doing before, where I can go into my construction layer and I can essentially locate a door. So I'm just going to start this one down here. And I'll make it at -3 feet. Whoops. Oh, sorry, at -3 feet, comma, I don't know, 2 feet. Then I'll make it 7 feet tall. So I can very easily just push this thing back into the wall. I can move it over, say, 3 feet. Actually, I'll double this up so I have a double door there. And then I can do a Boolean difference. Boolean difference, select this, select those, enter, and it chops it open. Right, so now it's getting super, super quick to actually do the design process right here in the program. I actually can put a second floor in there. Yeah, we'll play with that. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is begin laying out some interior walls, and don't worry about the height thing right now. In fact, I think we probably will put like a second floor in there a little bit. But I'd like you to get to a point tonight where you've got your exterior shell, you've got your floor slabs, and then you've actually laid out walls similar to this, and then you've cut doors. Okay, so the doors is really kind of the only part of it that we're going to be doing here. So we're cutting doors into all these spaces, and then we're going to start looking at like windows and modifications like that, and stairs.
When you say walls, do you mean the green interior walls, right?
Yep.
Okay. Not the rooms.
Yeah. So what questions do you have? All right, excellent. So yeah, let's get that done for today. And feel free to work on the other assignment too if you need to. And as long as you are at this level at the start of class on Monday.